Hi everybody, this is a short video to show you how to conduct a correlation or compute a correlation coefficient in SPSS. So this is the data set that I've used before. This has got three variables. The first one is whether people live in the east or the west, and that's a dichotomous variable, a categorical variable. We're not going to use that in correlations. We're going to correlate the two continuous variables or interval ratio variables. So the first one is a rating on a scale from 1 to 10, how much people liked a selection of East Coast rap. And the second one is a rating from 1 to 10, how much people liked a selection of West Coast rap. So we've got everybody in our sample, all 40 cases, their ratings of East Coast rap and their ratings of West Coast rap. And we're going to see if those two things are correlated with each other. So in SPSS, you'll open up your data set and then you go to Analyze and you go down to Correlate. And this is a bivariate correlation. Bi meaning two, variate meaning variables. You're just finding the correlation between two variables. So you click on that, bivariate, and then you select your two variables, make it the two that you measured using interval ratio scales, and put them over into this variables category. Over here, we're calculating Pearson correlation coefficients. That's the default, so just leave that as it is. To see whether it's statistically significant, do a two-tailed test, and then if you click on this thing, it flags the significant correlations, meaning it'll mark them. You go over to options. You can also get it to print out the means and standard deviations, but for simplicity, I'm not going to do that. And then click OK. And this is the output that you get. So you'll see it is redundant or repetitive. The same information down here, where you are looking at the correlation between this variable and this variable, produces that correlation coefficient, negative 0.443. And you see how it's got the two little asterisks? That's the flagging, showing that that's statistically significant. Sig two-tailed of 0.004, that's the p-value. That p-value of 0.004 is less than 0.05. That's how we know it's statistically significant. It's also less than 0.01, so that's how we know it would be statistically significant with an alpha level of 0.01. And then here is the number of cases that you've got. If you look up here, you get the exact same thing because it is the second variable correlated with the first. This is the first variable correlated with the second. They're both just correlated with each other, so the information is exactly the same. This right here is known as the diagonal, and this is the variable correlated with itself. You can see the number is 1, so that means, the variable is perfectly correlated with itself, so that's not very meaningful. But in a correlation matrix, which is what this is, you get the diagonal, where the variable is correlated with itself, and then below the diagonal is generally what we look at. Sometimes there's other information above it, but not for us. So that's it. That is how you perform and interpret a correlation in SPSS.